Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back from the MLG studios in New York City. You're watching WCS America, round of 16, Group B. About to head into the winner's match. I'm axeltoss, joined by Total Biscuit. How's it going, man?
It's going all right. Always nice to see a player win, but, you know, it's probably a good job that I'm not the coach. We have a problem in the house. Do you want me to tell you about my marital strife? So,
go ahead.
It's going to be STARCRAFT related, don't worry.
Okay, good.
I won't tell you about anything else. So, we like to watch GSTL together, obviously, watching our team.
Sure.
The problem is, every time one of my players makes a mistake in any respect, I suddenly get super critical and say, he should have done this. What the hell did he do? Is this guy even practicing? What are we paying him for? Like, at that point, he's just like, leave right now. And that's a real problem for me.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
definitely...
you can obviously imagine that, because, I mean, obviously, with your affiliation to Root, you've got to be thinking, when you cast a Root player, when you see a Root player do something you don't agree with, does it not just make you want to find them and shake them and say, what are you doing?
It happens.
Yeah.
We make blunders in my commentary. I'll like say something should be canceled when it shouldn't. Like, I make stupid decisions too, but you know, you got to move on and realize that stuff happens. But Crank able to come back from being down 1-0, winning 2 in a row. And it was interesting that he talked about his mentality going into games 2 and 3 as far as losing game 1 to that early pool.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him at all about his mentality as far as, you know, how you kind of get back into it after losing that first game?
He doesn't really need talking to, because he has such a ridiculous amount of experience. He is not the kind of guy that gets rattled after losing game 1, especially not when he loses to Cheese. He realizes that Cheese is a very valid part of any competitive series, and it's used to try and get a mental edge over your opponent as well as take the game. And that's almost more important. There are certain players who can go on serious tilt after being cheesed, and as a result throw away the next game. Now, Crank, on the other hand, eliminated that idea from his play years ago, as did pretty much anyone that's had, you know, these guys were in Brood War, he played with STX Soul, he played with SKT1. This guy knows what he's doing and has been around for a long time, so that kind of thing doesn't faze him that much. But Moonglade definitely did the right thing pulling that off, and yeah, keep him honest. There's some people think, and I think they're probably right to some degree, that some Korean players like to play super greedy because they feel that they can get away with it more against foreigners than they can against their own actual Korean friends and comrades and peers. And as a result, they play less honestly than they would otherwise. And some players do it a lot, some players don't do it so much. But if you look at how Suppy dealt with both Ryung and Hart in WCS group, what ended up happening there was in the games against Ryung, he went for Roach-Bane all-in twice. You want to know why that worked? Because Ryung was super greedy and was playing the big 3cc Korean Terran style where I'm not going to build any units and you won't attack me and it'll be fine, and then I'll have lots of money and I can build mules and it'll be great. And then suddenly Roach-Bane destroys your front twice in a row. That's the mentality that some players can fall into. And thankfully, it seems like he didn't. You know? I mean, after that, he was maybe even almost playing overly safe with the gateway first that didn't really turn into anything. But yeah, as I say, I don't think he's not the guy. He is actually the guy that lectures the house on it because he's the oldest one there, along with Alicia. So, you know, they've both been in the military. They're both extremely disciplined people. So those, you know, he would do the lecturing.
Well, he's one match away, and I think the players in the lobby, it looks like they might be ready to go here as we get into the winner's match. It's going to be Crank versus the STC, and I think you retain the host privileges, Mr.
That I do.
Total Biscuit. So.
Those guys are ready to rock and roll, and it sucks that I have to watch these guys play each other because the STC is one of the players that I really enjoy watching, and he's like the nicest guy in real life. He is absolutely fantastic player. He's had a pretty rough ride through StarCraft, but he's really, really good at what he does. And he played a great TBT series, which he's so harsh on himself. Said, yeah, I made that really boring. I'm sorry. I dragged it out too long. I didn't recognize my advantage. I'm like, really? That's what you have to say after taking out Apocalypse with some great plays? Well, yeah. That is his mindset in a nutshell here. Crank, on the other hand, is deciding, I want a rivalry today and I want to make things interesting.
I know, right? He's like going out of his way to again, he was talking about STARCRAFT. He's like, you know what? They're not BM enough. And he actually asked me in the pregame lobby if he was allowed to say anything during the game. So, you know, look out for that, guys at home.
Yeah, that's actually really important. Obviously, as someone that's played in Pro League previously and also played in GSL, you've got to ask that question.
Yeah.
Because like when you're
I said it's okay. I mean, I'm not the you know, the be all and the end all of MLG decisions, but you know,
if you're going to take down this tournament, I will kick you out of the studio. I just want to point that out for you. I don't care if this is your studio. You're getting a kicking. All right, here we go, folks. We are on Neo Planet S, and to the southwest position in the blue trunks, playing Terran. It is Complexity's the STC versus his opponent. To the northeast position. In the red trunks, playing Protoss. Coming fresh off a Zerg match, now has to face Terran. It is Axiom Crank.
You know, coming from, you know, my introduction to StarCraft 2 was actually through YouTube. And I gotta say, I truly enjoy your introductions. The rest of your commentary, I don't really care for.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't know why anyone would listen to that.
Whoa, we got a proxy barracks.
All right.
Hold on a second. What's going on here? No gas, so 2 racks. This is going to be exclusively Marines, and this is a pretty interesting timing because a lot of Protoss players lately obviously being very greedy with their expansion build, thinking, all right, I got this Mothership Core, this is going to protect me from most stuff. There's a couple of timings that Terrans can take advantage of, though. Yep. Of course, look at this probe. We have to realize, okay, how many SCVs are there? Can you identify the extra racks? It's pretty hard to identify.
You can see he's looking in the corner to see if there's one there.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. It is really hard to identify because you only have a limited time in the base. You're also thinking about your macro. You can't play a game of Clue with the Terran player at that point.
Look at this. He's keeping his probe at the natural. He's trying to block the potential expo. It's not going to happen just yet. The Marine coming out, shooing this probe with the SV faking, then he's put down the expo. But again, what I was saying here is, you know, a lot of Protosses going for very greedy expands that are vulnerable to stuff because a lot of Protosses send their Mothership Core across the map to get some additional scouting in.
And they could be destroyed by Marines. It's like, where did all these Marines come from? You lose your Mothership Core, and then that could be really, really bad indeed. SCV is now, of course, scouting and getting some information here. I'm interested to see what Crank decides to build.
It's a pretty delayed Stalker, too.
Yeah, well, that's going down here as well. That's out of vision. And he has no reason to really go down there right now.
A bunker.
Yeah, he's going bunker right here. Nice little move. Thing is, it looks like... Oh, it's going to be seen. This bunker will not complete. The Marines are nowhere near enough to make that happen. And I'm actually kind of surprised he's even pulling probes here. He could have just killed that with a Mothership Core. But I think he realizes something's coming at him. STC, I like how he pulled that SCV back. He's going to bring another one in here. There's probes to help. But there will be more Marines rallied across the map. There's going to be a Stalker out in a minute here. Wants to try and kill that Stalker. He's out of the range there, and now he's going to have to focus that down. But now that Mothership Core's taking a little bit of damage.
Is this bunker going to finish?
It might. He's actually pulling all probes right now. This is actually...
It's a race against time. The Marines trying to get to the bunker, finish it up.
SCV
gets
the bunker
inside.
as well.
SCV needs to repair this bunker. That's exactly what he's doing. Mothership Core getting very low on health, but it stays alive. The Marines going to try to pursue the Mothership Core.
They get the Mothership Core.
Which means no photon overcharge ability in you know, the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's a really nice play there by the STC. We actually had a slow response time from Crank pulling those probes away. He didn't take a lot of economic damage, but this is still an awkward position. He's going to micro really, really well against this. And STC stutter step is ridiculous. Is really, really good. Another Mothership Core pops out, but of course it doesn't have the energy for Time Warp. The probe's doing a great job here, but he did lose a few in the process, and that gives that nice economic lead because this is not all in by any stretch of the imagination. 8 workers killed, leave. Just leave right now. Get out of that bunker, salvage it, and just leave. Because at this stage in the game, you don't have to hang around. But I guess he just wants to delay the expansion as long as possible.
No reason not to keep that guy there until you're absolutely feeling threatened. But you don't want to lose 4 Marines for free, that's for sure. There's no recall ability for Terran in Heart of the Storm.
No, there are not. There is. It's called legs. They're not very good. I think they need a little bit of buffing there. Nice little surround comes in here, and that, of course, will kill that pretty quickly. Nice moves, though. I mean, there's actually a lot of lost damage being done here. STC immediately stims out. STC is ridiculously good. I'm sorry.
He's okay losing these Marines, too.
Yeah, I mean, for what he's traded it for, like 2 Stalkers and another probe, totally worth it. And STC is just so good. And I've always liked his stutter step. I've always thought that it was actually one of the best in the business because it's not just fast. Many people say, oh, look at how fast he's stutter stepping. That means he's good at it. It's smart. It's the way, it's what he targets and where he moves. It's planned out prior to him actually doing it. He waited for that bunker and then immediately stutter stepped in one specific direction because he knew not only would he threaten the probes, lose mining time for the Protoss, but he'd also kill another Stalker in the process. Really great play there by the STC.
Now, what's interesting here is that Crank, realizing his position, knows that he needs to come up with something to get back into this game. He chose the Oracle. We'll have to see how it works out. I don't know if STC has identified this. There's no engineering bay on the field.
He definitely hasn't.
You want to turret against this. That's for absolute sure. Or you have enough Marines. He might have a little idea, but no, he's just sending these Marines to take care of the Mothership Core, which is distracting the Marines from the natural, which means the Oracle can swing in there.
Yep, that's the wrong move, and Crank's going to go immediately. A great response time by the STC, actually, and we're going to get some good target fire here from Crank. Now, the single Oracle will not be enough. A lot of wasted mining time, but it didn't kill a Mule, and it only killed one SCV. There is, however, a second Oracle following this up, so this is going to be a threat. Engineering base coming down. There is a timing here where he could hit with the second Oracle. Crank's trying to stop reactors from going down, which Mothership Core I don't think actually has enough DPS to do that, but
as long as you're pulling these Marines back, that's enough.
The second
doing a little
Oracle's
bit of damage is great.
Yeah, he's going to go in again and do some more damage, and once again force a lot of mining time loss. Those two Oracles could probably fight that many Marines, but there's actually, never mind, there's actually 13 on the map. If he brought the ones out of the bunker, that would be really dangerous. Bit risky play here from Crank, actually, moving into a position where he could get shot, but he's using his opponent's buildings against him, and the engineering bay built to protect the mineral line suddenly results in the blocking of the Marines. How poetic.
What an interesting game we have in our hands. So it's a situation where Crank is trying to pull himself back into the game. Great Oracle play again, targeting on a Mule, an SCV. Turret is not able to get finished.
Yep.
You know, Crank doing all the right things. However, there's a little bit of a danger here because Stim, it's almost done.
Yes.
And when you're opening Stargate as Protoss, that's one of the dangerous timings. It's this follow-up Stim timing from your Terran opponent. But the question is Crank doing enough damage here to delay that timing? I'm not so sure because there's 2 medevacs on the way. I feel like once STC gets those turrets up, he's going to march across the map, and now it's going to be up to Crank to defend against that Stim timing with a lot of medevacs.
Yeah. He will have a Mothership Core. As long as he doesn't lose it, he will have a Time Warp and a Photon Overcharge. That will delay it. We could see some elevation drop play. Crank is... Bear in mind, Crank has been playing this on one gateway. That's the real problem here. He needs to get... He's going one gate Robo Bay.
No turret. Still no turret in the main.
Oh man, the backstab comes in again. Crank doing some serious damage. He's now got the economic lead, but he's got nothing to build from right now. He's got to defend this with Photon Overcharge, a couple of units, and really just string and fluff.
He's way up in economy. If he can hold this off, he's going to be in a remarkable position. But yeah, this is such a ferocious push coming forward from the STC. Lots of Marines. Medevac's probably going to pick up these units going to the main. Photon Overcharge using the natural. How much energy is left? Looks like enough
for another one.
Okay, so he can put one in the main. But he's going to have to use that and then wait for more energy. So STC still has a narrow timing where he can potentially do a lot of damage.
But that timing is rapidly disappearing. The decision to go... I still can't believe he's on one gateway and he's going Colossus. This is ridiculous. I've actually never seen anyone do this. But we'll see how this goes. Oh, he gets caught in. The force field's kind of placed to make it a little bit difficult to transition through. And if this Colossus actually got up, even then, like, it's still one Colossus with no range. It's still dicey. Engagement comes in. I'm not really sure what STC is doing. He's actually throwing Marines away.
I think, oh yeah, that's definitely a mistake. But he's waiting for Photon Overcharge to expire in the natural. It has expired. He needs to go right now. But now his unit count is a little bit lower.
Yeah, he lost Marines there. So that's not going to work out for him. This force field energy coming back in.
Yeah.
This is really bad for the STC. Like, let's look at workers killed, because that's going in again. By the way, that's actually a mentor oracle. There's an instructor
20
oracle.
to 9.
There was an instructor oracle. That's dead. Yeah, 20 workers killed is significant.
Still no turret in the main.
Unbelievable.
I can't.
Seriously? Like, why? Maybe STC thought that both oracles were being killed.
Maybe he thought he was going to win the game right there, and I guess wasn't worrying about it. Okay, 2 Vikings.
Yeah, it's going to die now.
That's great.
That's 4 more kills that he got on that oracle before he kills that. I mean, this is like
24 workers killed.
Now the push comes in. There's a Colossus ready.
I don't know if the timing's there. I don't know if the timing's there.
I don't think so. There will not be enough energy yet. He's now loading in. It looks like he wants to try and trick Crank to try and get into the main base and do significant damage. There's a Phoenix coming in. There's so little unity, but he now has 3 gateways, and he's got that Colossus. This is, I mean, I think, STC's trying to draw him out of position, and then he's going to drop the main. But that's going to be spotted by the pylon, so there's already going to be a response coming in there. There's about to be enough energy for Photon Overcharge. There's 2 Colossus here. And there's no way in a million years that's doing anything.
Engage in the natural. I mean, the whole point of doing that drop is so you can draw your opponent's Colossi away and engage into the natural expansion. However, STC, I guess just not feeling confident enough, perhaps dealing with another Oracle. Oh no, that's a hallucinated Phoenix back home. So deciding not to engage into the natural. So now it's a tricky situation where Crank is really starting to get situated on these two bases, and we're going to get into the mid game here, or the late mid game at the very least. Crank doing a great job, at least so far, really preventing these drops, preventing this aggression from the STC from doing much.
There's already, I mean, this game's already been great in the sense of it started in such an unconventional way and then played out in a really cool way. These little moves, these little units doing significant damage on both sides. Great tactical play from both players.
Oh, yeah.
And we do, of course, have Crank with an economic
it's a
lead.
fake.
It is a fake. Oh, uh-oh, there's Phoenixes there to shut that down, actually, so it's not going to really make a difference.
Cool idea, though.
Yeah, it was cool until you realize there's Phoenixes there to shut that down, so never mind. Scan goes down, he sees the armies there, and STC's like, oh, well, how on earth am I supposed to do anything now? He can't really. Not with this army. He's going to have to either wait for Crank to make a mistake or think of something else. An armory's coming down. Could be for Hellbats, could be for +2, could of course be for both.
I think it's 2-2 is the main thing.
Most likely.
Here.
Does he have 2 engineering bays? I think he's just been on 1,
He
right?
has only 1. I would not be surprised to see him add on another one, but it's a situation where he's been trying to scramble to get that economy back up in order because of all the SCVs he lost. He might not be able to justify the addition of a second engineering bay. Also, he wants a second starport because he realizes his opponent is going for Colossi and Phoenix, and you need a lot of Vikings to deal with that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see him add on a weapons upgrade out of this armory for the Vikings.
Yeah. And you might think, well, why would you get Phoenixes in this position? There's a couple of reasons, but one of the biggest is you can't just then auto-attack with the Vikings. What that means is you have to deliberately target. That means you can be drawn out of position very easily. Like, you right-click on something, you're going to follow it till the ends of the earth, even if you move over Stalkers, Storm, Archons. It just isn't going to work out for you.
Yeah.
So what we need to see from STC is shutting these Phoenixes down. He's doing a great job. He's going to pick off a second Phoenix as well. That's really good play there by the STC. And those Phoenixes caught out of position quite nicely here. If he can get rid of the Phoenixes, he can get good shots off on the Colossus. He can kill them pretty quickly. Armor upgrades are coming in for Crank. He's focusing on +2 armor, which I think is the right call here. There's 3 Colossus, but there's 10 Vikings. What I'd like to see, actually, from Crank is an attempt to go for a transition, but on 2 bases, that's tricky to do.
Yes, only 4 gases, so if you're like trying to transition to Templar, you're already, using all your gas on getting upgrades, getting Colossi, getting Phoenix. I would like to see STC get more medevacs in his composition. He only has 2, and he has 2 starports, so I would like to see 3 Vikings and a medevac, maybe made at a time out of that rotation of 2 starports, each with reactors. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling that STC may be completely overcommitting to Vikings here, but since he knows his opponent's still on 2 bases, he wouldn't be expecting a transition. And he's right, there isn't one. The Phoenixes are going to mess with this, definitely, but STC still has a very scary army. Vikings come in from the side, and they pick off. That was a fantastic move there. Oh, and here he comes, and here comes the engagement right here. The charge isn't done, which is a huge deal. Force fields come down, and they're really nice as well, cutting that army in half here. But Crank lost the last Colossus, and now has to back off to the safety of that photon overcharge. Picking off all of those Colossus, pretty damn big deal as far as I'm concerned for STC. He still has 6 Vikings. There's no transition coming in here from Crank. He's going to continue to build Colossus. However, the Phoenix count is getting to the point where there's
SCVs.
Oh, is he actually going for it?
He's saying enough is enough. I want to win this right now. He doesn't have a 3rd command center, so he's pretty committed to this. Now, his opponent is only on 2 bases, so he could easily back up and take a 3rd orbital command, but he senses blood in the water. He feels like he can win this right now, so he's going to go for it.
And I don't know if he's right, because those Phoenixes have been picking off the Vikings, and it's down to 4 right now, with Stalkers in the mix. Those Vikings could die very quickly, and if there is the ability, there are still 2 sentries, there's still a Mothership Core. If Crank is able to successfully defend this, use force fields to slice the army up, and keep that Colossus alive at the back, then he may very well win it. This is going to be a tense engagement from both sides right here. Here it comes. Time stop comes in right now. The SCV is doing significant damage. Crank coming in, and nicely buffered there by the STC, using those SCVs to his advantage. The Colossus is really low on health.
It's
still alive! He tried to pick it off, but the Colossus is still alive. Can Crank actually... surely cannot hold this.
He's picking a bio with the Phoenixes, desperately trying to hold the Phoenix. The Colossus finally goes down, but what's to stop the remaining Marines and Marauders? 1 more Colossus is in production, about to finish. Warp Gate's essentially on cooldown. 4 Zealots in production right now.
There's the Warp in. He can hold it. Another Colossus popped out. He holds. Unbelievably, the Phoenixes come in. With so many Marauders, there's no way to kill the Phoenixes, and suddenly he is able to hold on to that. a ridiculously desperate move from both players. And funnily enough, even after that, STC still has a worker lead. These Marauders are still in the mix. This is going to be a great little move here by the STC to do yet more damage to his opponent here.
The Colossus!
He needs to save that, and the Zealots move in to zone that off. Another attempted flank gets sorted out here by the Phoenixes. This is a ridiculously tense match.
Wow, what a game we have on our hands here.
Good God.
Crank holding by the thread of a needle. I don't even know how to describe it. This is an absolutely fantastic game. Vikings in the wrong place at the wrong time. You can't throw away units when this game is this close. Every single unit is so important. High Templar Archives on the way from Crank. I'm wondering when these guys are even going to take thirds. They've lost so many workers, it's not even worth it at this point. 32-24 in favor of the STC, but STC does have additional mules at his disposal. But I feel like this game might even be equalized a little bit, as crazy as it started.
This game is nuts in pretty much every respect. It is bonkers. It's a great game between two players that are great friends and have been for a long time and play each other frequently. And that's why you get this kind of quality of game. This is not for Storm. This is clearly Zealot Archon. Oh, beautiful little pick off right there by Crank. He almost got the medevac there, and he actually gets it. These Phoenixes are a gigantic pain because there is no Vikings anymore. There are a lot of Marauders in this composition. There aren't enough Marines. Now there are 4 Vikings coming, but it's a trick because Crank is going for Zealot Archon.
You got to be so careful when the Archons are in play. I agree. I don't think STC has been able to take a look at what his opponent is transitioning into as far as the Templar are concerned. I mean, think about it from STC's point of view. He barely almost killed his opponent. He's not necessarily expecting a transition into Templar. He's not necessarily expecting a transition into Archons off 2 bases, but honestly, I don't know how aggressive Crank is intending to be with those Archons, considering he's staying at home for now and just trying to be harassment focused. Yeah,
and he's trying to pick off medevacs where he can, and he's doing damage in the process. He's trying to stop this orbital command from moving. Vikings now in play, so he's going to have to back off at this stage.
That's amazing. Okay, so he sent the medevacs forward to absorb the damage of the Phoenixes while the Vikings were sending their volleys.
So good.
That's such high-level play. I can't even begin to describe it.
Yeah, the STC is still in a great position right now. There is Storm on the way. If STC secures a 3rd base here...
He needs a Ghost Academy. Like, this could be disastrous if Storm finishes.
He's going completely the wrong thing. He's thinking exactly what every other sane person on the planet would, which is the only thing he can keep doing on 2 bases with, like, 20 workers is to build Colossus, right? No, it's Archons and Storm. It is a surprise, very much so. Crank is also able to delay this engagement. He is taking damage on his Phoenixes, but he has shields that he can regenerate, whereas in the case of these Vikings, they will consistently take damage. Storm is on the way. If STC takes an engagement in a choke against Storm, he will lose.
Yes. But if he plays like Flash and just splits up his bio ridiculously well as Vikings as medevacs, he could definitely win with the next push. Again, it's a situation that can go either way. We have a Zealot counterattacking into the 3rd base.
Very nice move.
Heads-up move here from Crank, and STC actually losing a few SCVs. Engagement might happen here. Keep in mind, Storm is done, and STC still has no idea. These Storms could be massive, and they are. Storm nailing the bio. STC is going to be running for the hills. He does not want to engage this army, especially with Storm in play, but can you really run from these? He's got to pick up, maybe run away with those Ignite Afterburners.
Yeah, he can. He's kiting a little bit here, so like that didn't do anywhere near as much damage as it could have. The Vikings, I think, I'm not really sure what they're doing.
I mean, what can they do?
No, not much.
Like, I guess land and harass some workers.
Well,
maybe?
actually, I mean, landing. You know what's a cool thing that I don't see enough? Landing and taking the charges from the Zealots. That's actually a really cool thing you can do with Vikings in that situation. But like throwing them away like this, that makes no sense.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Even if he kills that motion core, it's not worth it. He just lost so many Vikings there.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Found the Colossus. If we can get that guy, I'd be a little bit happier with the situation.
And he's going to get it. Very nice.
Okay.
Great move by STC. Like, throwing away 10 Vikings maybe to kill that is a bit ridiculous. But here's the thing. STC, it does actually have another base.
Yes.
Yeah. More specifically, he took his old one and put it in a different place. And that's not something that... Crank is trying to establish a 3rd base now, and 26 minutes into this game. This indicates just how ridiculous this has been. Harassment continues to come in. And I feel that Crank has got to gather his forces and actually attack. And he realizes this. If he can kill this 3rd base and Storm is as effective as it should be, before the Ghost Academy comes up and the Ghosts come on the field, that will be game over.
It will.
But STC knows that.
Splitting up.
He's not that spread, though. Especially with the charging Zealots, that's going to kind of cause everything to... There's so many storms.
Does he know about this? Okay, he's just now identifying he can't bunch up his units together. He's splitting away the Marines and Marauders, trying to absorb those storms, trying to target down the High Templar. A very technical engagement. This is going to be, if Crank can get some key storms off, he will take victory here, but STC on top of it so far. baiting for 3 storms. I think only a couple units died. STC doing great so far.
Oh, there's a big bunch there. A storm comes down and he sits in it. A second storm comes in as well. A third one. I mean, there's so much storm here. Can the STC really hold it? Another storm comes down. The remaining units of Crank continue to make their way up the line. Another storm. There are so few units left for both sides here, but STC is not going to hold.
GG.
What a game from both players. Oh my god, that was fantastic.
Wow.
That was bonkers.
I would try to summarize that match in a paragraph, but I couldn't do it, man. I need to write a book over that. Look, they're talking to each other like, gosh, man.
That game was nuts. Yeah.
My storms got you. Yeah.
This is a game between friends, and there are times when that could turn into a really awful battle because it's like, I don't want to kill him. I really don't, but... And then you get this, which was an insane TVP, a low economy game, which are always some of the scrappiest and most fun. It means that the individual units make all the difference. Those key heroic actions really make that game pop and be interesting and fun. And that was great. That was one of the most enjoyable PvTs I've seen in ages, honestly.
It started off with a miraculous hold from Crank as far as the stim timing was concerned, getting all that damage done with the oracles. Like, if he didn't do that, I'm sorry, he loses that game. If he doesn't get enough worker kills with the oracles, so great decision-making throughout that game from Crank after being caught off guard by that early 2 racks pressure, and Crank able to build up that energy onto the High Templar, get those storms out, and just able to overwhelm STC, which means Crank is up 1-0 in this best of 3. He is 1 win away from advancing to the round of 8 of the WCS America Premier League. Guys, stay tuned. Game 2 coming up between Crank and the STC.